If you gave up your DNA to learn more about your family history and long-lost relatives, it could now be in the hands of the federal government. According to a new report, Family Tree DNA is working with the FBI. They're letting agents search their genealogy database to solve violent crimes. Now, this concept isn't anything new. Law enforcement used public genealogy databases to help capture the suspected Golden State Killer. But it is the first time a private company has voluntarily allowed police to use their database. Now, Family Tree says it's a new development and users can opt out. But then they lose out on being able to find possible relatives. To break it all down, we turn to investigative journalist Ben Swann. Ben, okay, I just have to ask you, I'll admit it, Ancestry.com. I've done it. I've given its presents to people. Are you familiar with the whole program?
I'm very familiar with that and other programs as well. By the way, as an anchor here in Atlanta, we did a story about a year ago specifically about these. And, you know, as part of what we do, the anchors were going to give up their DNA and take this test and find relatives. And I refused to do so because I did not want my DNA being put into a public database.
Well, that's the question. When people use these DNA and these genealogy sites, do you think they're expecting a certain level of privacy with the information that they learn?
Yeah, I think that people absolutely expect a certain level of privacy. Now, there are a couple of problems with this story. Number one, you don't have to actually upload anything in order for law enforcement to be able to be tracking you. And the reason for that is because, and when the company says you can opt out, you can't, because a lot of this is based on family members and relatives. So when a family member uploads a profile and puts it in, what law enforcement is trying to do is match those family members' DNA profiles to their suspect in order to be able to determine whether their suspect is the one they're looking for. And the way they're doing that is they're essentially creating fake profiles. So what the FBI is doing is not actually accessing your profile. They would say, we think Scottie did something. We don't have a profile for her. So they would set up a fake account with a fake name. They're uploading your DNA profile to that fake account and then trying to match it to family members to determine if yours is the DNA they're looking for.
Well, that's really intricate. That's really interesting. And that's not in their little 30-second promo commercials that I saw yesterday during the Super Bowl of, and it's not as simple as a leaf. So do you think users of these sites are signing away all of their privacy when they agree to the terms of service, obviously not reading through the details?
Well, yes, and some companies are worse than others. So, you know, some of these companies will allow you to not attach your actual name and private information to your profile. So only, in theory, only you would know who that profile belonged to when you uploaded it. But other sites, and some of the bigger sites, will not only require you to attach your name to it, but they actually turn around and then sell those profiles. They sell them to law enforcement, they sell them to hospitals, they sell them to drug makers, and so they're actually taking your DNA that you've uploaded and they're profiting off of it by selling it. And by the way, let me just mention this too. You know, DNA, people think of it as being this foolproof CSI way of solving crimes, but there are many cases, depending on how the DNA is used, where false profiles lead to false readings. There have been people who have been wrongfully convicted with DNA evidence, and then those convictions eventually overturned when better DNA evidence came out. And lastly, on the Golden State Killer who you referenced in the lead up here, which was the case that they're basing all this on, what they're not telling you is months before that, there was an attempt to a different DNA site that led to a suspect that they thought was the killer in this case, and it was a wrongfully accused person, and the way law enforcement got to him was through the exact same method. So this is not an exact science by any means.
Okay, well, let's play devil's advocate real quickly here. If the FBI is trying to catch bad guys, why can't they use this information if the greater good is to be good for the entire community?
Well, look, so first of all, I hate the term greater good, right? Because that essentially means that as a collective, we have greater rights than the individual. But nowhere in our Bill of Rights is the individual's right trumped by the collective, by the community, right? In fact, our Bill of Rights are only individual rights. There are no collective rights within there. Having said that, that's another argument. So what this company is essentially saying is that law enforcement can do the same thing everyone else is doing. They're just going in, creating profiles, and then trying to match to family members, which is what everyone else is doing. But what everyone else is not doing, Scottie, is creating a fake profile and uploading someone else's DNA. And what stops just people in general from uploading anyone else's DNA to these sites? I think there's a problem here with how law enforcement is going about doing that. They're not just searching profiles, they're creating profiles.
I think this definitely is going to set up a very strong legal argument going forward as this case gets more revelations. Thank you for joining us, Ben.
Thanks, Scottie.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.